Hi, my name is Simona Giunta. I'm a scientist and I want to talk to you about our environment and the crisis we're currently facing, not just as humanity, but by all organisms that require oxygen to live. In fact, I'm not going to indulge into explaining the compelling evidence for global warming or whether fluctuations have been happening through millennia or actually the compelling evidence that they are exacerbated by our reckless industrialization. I don't want you to even think that this crisis is only about warm, cold, hurricanes, advancing deserts, and all the extreme weather episodes we are currently witnessing, because these things you may believe you will survive. But what not one of us will survive is if we cannot breathe. That's right, our air is changing and it might become incompatible with life as it has evolved on this planet so far, including us. If that happens, perhaps in a future not even that far away, this won't be an event like global warming. We would just drop dead, perhaps like dinosaurs did, because of asphyxia, lack of oxygen. Well, just an interesting note about dinosaurs to lighten the mood, but really there is no silver lining in this story at all. We are all here because dinosaurs died. Having such large pachyderms roam the earth meant that the smaller mammals lived well hidden underground. The extinction of large dinosaurs allowed small mammals to gain a more prominent role in the ecosystem and eventually evolved all the way to Homo sapiens, us. Can you see this behind me? This is an oxygen monitor. We have one of those in this room in my lab, because the air we breathe is an exact and precarious mix of a few key elements. The majority of it is nitrogen. There is also 21% oxygen and 1% other stuff. Now, the reason why we have an oxygen monitor in this room is because we have a large nitrogen tank. If I open the tank and lots of nitrogen gets into the air in this room, the nitrogen will go up from 78%. And what goes down? Oxygen. Now you'll think, okay, well, that's fine. I mean, you need a lot of additional gas to deplete all the oxygen in the room. But really, no. We have evolved to breathe air at 21% oxygen. We can get to a minimum of 19% oxygen. I mean, maybe you cannot read the sign behind me, but it says at 90.5% oxygen, the monitor will beep and I need to get the hell out of the room. Now, the problem is that our planet alarm may ring at some point, not that far in the future, and where are we going to go? This is it. Our planet is this room. But why would oxygen decrease, you may ask? Well, actually, you may not ask that question because there is a lot of evidence that oxygen is being depleted already from our oceans. Oxygen is very low in the more polluted cities in the most polluted cities in the world, and it's actually crystal clear to everybody, even climate change deniers, that CO2 levels are rising. In 2018, the numbers collected by the Global Carbon Project, you can check out their website, are in and show that CO2 is still rapidly climbing to this day. Remember the other stuff, 1% in our breathing air? What if that becomes 5% or 10%? Well, what that would look like is like one of those terrible incidences where an old gas stove leaks in a household and basically no one wakes up the day after, just on a global scale. Well, breathe. Well, actually do it for real while we still can. We are not at 5% CO2 or methane or any other stuff. But we are actually approaching a global condition where we do not have that much leeway if there happens to be a sudden spike in other gases. Our air may soon no longer have the capacity to absorb anything else we emit, and oxygen is going to go down. All the industries, the greenhouse emission, the pollution are constant CO2 emitters. But what you may not have considered is that there are plenty of other things that release a ton of CO2 at once, namely glaciers. The ice is melting fast, and it can cause what us scientists refer to a methane bomb, a sudden and quick release of methane and CO2 and gases that were trapped since Ice Age inside the glaciers. Now the scientific community really still analyzing how much methane and CO2 may be trapped in our melting glaciers, but considering our air is already saturated with man-made greenhouse emissions, do we really want to risk finding out? Wait, maybe that's what we were attempting to do in the summer, burning forests all over the planet, which not only released a lot of CO2, but also got rid of trees and things that actually help with our oxygen supply. Truth is that in addition to everything that is happening in the world right now, if several large glacier, icebergs, and really large ice pieces that contain a lot of extra gas quickly melted, our oxygen would eventually fall below a safety level. Now you will say, well, I don't believe the oxygen is ever going to go that low. But really, at atmospheric oxygen at 18%, that would already lead to extremely serious and widespread health issues for us at a global scale. I mean, I'm not sure what's maddening, that this is even happening or that we are not really doing anything to address these issues. I grew up, we need to breathe and we need to wake up. I grew up watching movies like Independence Day, and I idealized the United States as the country that could save us from alien invasion. But this is not about aliens. This is about us. I'm a scientist in the US, and the fix isn't going to be just the US. Arguably, they may be the culprit. It needs to be a joint global effort, but it also needs to be an individual one by every one of us. There are many impactful ways that we can reduce CO2 emissions. For instance, making climate-conscious political decisions. Give high priority to candidates that care about the environment and have it tie up in their agenda to protect it. You can also go green in your life, in your house. Choose your way of transportation. Choose low carbon emitting, low carbon footprint ways in what you buy. Just live green and actually even avoid to buy anything that isn't essential. Well, I've been going for over 8 minutes, but if you took the time to listen to this whole video, just remember, it's not just the planet that needs saving. We do. Advocate, write letters, stop using plastic, especially single-use plastic, change your life, change your habits, do something, anything to reduce CO2 emission and to push our governments to protect our air. The time is now.